Enough time to cover the review, all right? Just a quick flashback to your freshman bio.
Chromosomes.
Okay.
Chromosomes.
Rena, you ready? Duplicated chromosome is called
Chromatid.
chromatid. What's the adjective that goes with
Sister chromatid.
Nice. What pulls them apart?
Chromatin fiber. Spindle fibers.
What creates spindle fibers?
Microtubules.
Good job. Okay. Now the stuff works.
Wait, isn't it phalanges?
No, it's
That's
microtubules.
fingers.
I can't.
This isn't believing play the last one.
The phalanges are like little tail feathers.
All right, let's get rolling here. So, test tomorrow. 41 questions. Right, so what chapter do you think most of the information is going to cover?
22.
It's going to be a lot for 22 and the Hardy-Weinberg stuff. Yeah, make sure you know.
But I need you to reteach me that.
Yeah, I need you to reteach me that.
Never for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's why we're doing this. Okay, let's go. So, people. So you're not necessarily going to have questions about the people. I just want you to understand the general info. There are a few people, but not every person. So everything always goes back to the Greeks, right? So they said that their life is like rungs of a ladder, right? Basic stuff are here, more complex things are here. Did they say life was changing?
No.
No. Okay, because, obviously this time period, the gods, right, are perfect, they create perfect things, all that kind of stuff, right? Cuvier. The way to remember Cuvier is, so what's a big word for a disaster? It starts with C. Catastrophe. Cuvier, catastrophe, explain the what record?
The
The
fossils.
fossil record. Okay? He said that if you survive that catastrophe, you're around today. If not, you are now a fossil, right? No evolution. Okay, no change. All right? Hutton and Lyell were both the guys who studied what?
The levels of
Yeah, the levels of the Earth. So they're geologists, right? So they said the Earth is very old and the Earth has been changing. Okay? And so, the layers of rocks have been laid down over time. In those layers, where would the older fossils be? At the bottom. Those are going to be the more basic organisms, and the more advanced are going to be at the top. So that's what Hutton and Lyell had said. So remember, all of these guys contributed to Darwin and his theory.
Are they gonna be like mapping like they were last time?
No, I'm not giving you specific. Just there's a couple multiple choice questions. Lamarck.
the basic ones are at the bottom.
Yes, more basic. Lamarck has Lamarckism. What's the deal with Lamarckism? The giraffe stretching neck guy.
Adapted, straight.
Close. What's the word? You get
Acquired.
Acquired, right. Lamarck, the big is acquire, okay, because you acquire traits while you're living, like you stretch your neck and then when you reproduce, what happens?
Long neck.
Yes. Does that happen though? No, but he had the early ideas that Darwin then took to formulate his ideas. Okay? So that's Lamarckism. So you're the fiddler crab, and fiddler crabs have these giant claws, right? And so he said they once had small claws, right? So why do you suppose a fiddler crab has a large claw? What's he trying to do?
Catching food.
Food, but what's another thing we talk about in nature that animals like to do?
Show off.
Show off. So he's showing off his claw, and it gets bigger, and because of that, he's able to mate a lot, right? So then when he mates, what do all his offspring inherit? This giant claw, right? That's Lamarckism. Okay. Malthus talked about population growth and said all populations grow
Exponentially.
until they run out of resources, right? So the human population is going to level off, right? Because food grows like that. Once we grow and exceed the available food, what's gonna happen?
Stop.
Yeah, there's gonna be famines and things like that. So Darwin's used Malthus in population studies, said who survives when resources are scarce. Okay?
Pivot.
That's Malthus. They call it Malthusian theory. And then the last guy's Wallace. Wallace convinced Darwin to do what? Publish his book. Darwin didn't want to. He was reluctant because people were making fun of him. Remember, I told you he told his wife to publish his book after he dies, until he ran across Wallace, and Wallace said, yeah, you should do this because I'm coming up with the same things you are. Okay? So, and again, I just have a few questions about these people, but not every
Wait, what's
single
Wallace?
one.
He convinced Darwin to publish his book.
Okay. All right, so Darwin's big thing in his book is natural selection, right? So organisms change over time through natural selection. So natural selection, how do you get your traits?
Required.
Your
What?
parents.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you inherit traits, right? And if those traits fit into the environments, what's gonna happen? You're gonna live, and then you're gonna reproduce and pass it on. Got it? That's the whole Darwin theory. Okay? And so that's natural selection. If the environment changes, which it constantly does, then what's gonna happen?
And you're gonna have to like keep changing.
Yeah, if you don't fit into your environment, you die, and the other organisms with different variations are gonna be more successful. And that's just a constant struggle to exist. Okay? So variation causes. If you have the right variation, what are the effects? Survival. If you don't have the right variation, yeah, I mean, it could be anything. If you're not if you're not bright enough red cardinal, what's never gonna happen for you? You're not gonna reproduce. If you're a slow cheetah, well, you're not gonna catch any gazelles, things like that. So variation causes you to be successful or not successful. Yeah? Any questions so far? All right. Finches in the Galapagos. All right. So, all right. So over here's the mainland. What's that continent? South America, right? Okay, and then here's the Galapagos Islands, right? These islands were here before South America or after South America? After. They're a volcanic island chain. They were formed by underwater volcanoes erupting, so there was nothing on the Galapagos. So where did the finches come from? Yeah, one ancestor finch. They know this because they looked at the DNA. Colonized the islands. Then what happened? Yeah, because the birds on each island are what from each other? Yeah, they're isolated. And because the environments are different, what happens? They inherit different variations, and now over time we have different species on each island. Okay. What's another example of something other than the finches that I talked about?
Tortoise.
The giant tortoises, the long-necked tortoises and the different shells of the tortoises, things like that. Even the different boobies. There's blue-footed boobies, there's red-footed boobies, right? I mean, there's just different.
There's a red-footed movie?
There's a red-footed booby. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mhm. Yeah. I think there's a brown-footed booby,
Then
but
why
I
does
don't
everybody just focus on the blue ones?
know. Because it's blue, I don't
But
know.
red.
I know.
Everybody average.
So what do we need to know for that?
No, I just want you to understand that islands have unique organisms and they're different because they're isolated from everything else. That's the main point. I mean, a lot of these questions, they're more application. So I'm going to give you a scenario and you have to figure out what the best answer would be. So it's kind of application. Yeah, there's some recall stuff, but you also have to make sure you can think this stuff through, right? Okay, endemic species would be like the Tasmanian devil. Where is it only found?
Tasmania.
Tasmania. That's what endemic means.
How do you spell that?
Tasmania, Tasmanian, something that lives only in that area. So what are the things that live in Madagascar? Think of cartoon, lemurs, right? So lemurs are endemic to Madagascar. Are raccoons endemic only to Indiana? No, they're everywhere. Okay, so this first part, it was a lot of natural selection, and then we got artificial. So he also talked about artificial selection. So what's that?
Artificial is like people intervening and making what they
Yeah,
want.
humans, right? Humans are doing the selecting.
5 minutes to shut the door.
He was being polite. So give me an example of something using
What does
artificial
that
selection.
say?
What
What does
was
that say?
that?
Hummus? Hummus?
Sorry.
I gotta slow down, I guess.
Hummus?
I thought it said hummus.
There's my best.
Oh, that would be
It's hard because I can't read from forever, so humans.
Yeah, you're over there.
I'm like this.
Yeah, humans. So artificial selection, humans are doing the selecting, right? Give me an example of artificial selection. Dogs, strawberries,
GMO, genetically
GMOs. Yes. Here's a weird one. You want a twist? So the Nazis wanted to make the perfect I don't know if you knew this story, but this is kind of interesting. They wanted to make the perfect Aryan race, so they would set up camps where young German guys and girls would go and mate.
Wonderful eyes.
And these girls would mate with these guys they didn't know for yeah.
We learned about
Isn't
that.
that weird? It's yeah, it is. Yeah, they did a lot of All right, so that's artificial selection. All right. This section are the evidences. Okay, you're gonna have some questions about the evidences. So homologous, those are the bones. Okay, same common ancestor. So your hand and a whale flipper. Yes, they don't look the same, but the bones inside of them are basically the same. They just have different shapes. And all these bones, and bones are the classic example. They all came from a common ancestor. It's just they've changed. Okay, a bat wing and a cat paw. Things like that. Okay, now what if I said a dragonfly wing and a bird wing? That's analogous. If they live in the same area, all organisms inherit similar features, even though they're not related. So if you live in the water, what's a feature you must have? Fins, and you want to be streamlined, right, to go through the water. So sharks and dolphins aren't related, but they have those features. That's what analogous is. Got it?
Wait, what do I write for analogous? Like what?
Yeah.
They're different structures.
I can't have two people talking at the same time.
What? They're analogous, meaning they're used for the same purpose, but they're definitely
on the
not
tripod.
related. Okay, fossils, that's an easy one. Fossils are just show you things from the past, right? How they've changed. Embryos show we all have a common body plan at a certain point, and then we become a human, and a pig becomes a pig, and a lemur becomes a lemur.
But we
things
looked
like
at pigs before.
Yeah. Vestigial organs. So the key to the buzzword for any vestigial organ, reduced. Anything that's reduced, don't think money reduced, think of size reduced. It's vestigial. So the legs in a whale are there, but in size-wise, they have been reduced. They are smaller in their abdomen. Yeah. They don't use them because they're reduced, but
If they
Like our
got, if
tails.
they got beached, say, do you think they could
They just
walk?
pop them out.
Yeah,
No.
Oh, that would be so
That's
cool.
why they have.
Wisdom
That'd be crazy,
teeth,
like,
your
imagine, like, a
appendix,
whale just
male
Male
nipples,
crazy.
stuff like that.
I'll
There's not gonna be a male nipple question on your test. I'm not gonna-
Technically, that's weird.
All right,
That's
and
weird.
then the last one is DNA and proteins, which that's what you basically just did yesterday. So what showed you that they were more alike?
There's similar code.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, that's why we.
What do we need to write?
Yeah, like.
The more similar, the more closely related, that'd be the best thing to say, because that's what you need to know. So if you get a little scenario and I give you some really short DNA strands, and you have to compare, you know, which one's gonna be most closely related, the one that has the fewest differences. Yep. All right,
Go over the test.
we good on 22?
Yeah.
Moving on.
So technically we have like 2 more tests after this.
Yeah. And then they have two
In what class?
This.
Yeah. That's it.
Really?
Guaranteed 1, maybe 2.
Wait, so are we gonna take one over the physiology?
It's either gonna be a test or it depends on timing.
Quiz.
Of course.
Neither is fun.
Okay, 5 factors. All right, so
He's drawing his hand.
What is that?
You have to
Oh, I
pick up
can't
your hand.
touch
it.
There you go.
I'm drawing my hand.
I can't draw my hand though. That's stupid.
I don't have chunky fingers. It's just how I drew it.
Are you sure?
I don't think they're chunky.
Travis.
Yeah,
What?
You got a fat wrist too.
What?
I do not have fingers. Okay, so the 5 fingers of evolution. Okay, right there. Okay, cheat sheet tile. Okay, but it only helps you guys. So here it is.
Wait. Let me draw my hand.
Okay, so the 5 factors for evolution. All right, we're gonna go pinky all the way to thumb.
I
Okay,
can't tell which one's my pinky.
so pinky is what?
Genetic drift.
Okay. Genetic drift. Okay. The reason why we have pinky is because this affects small populations. There's 2 subcategories that go with genetic drift. What's the Amish story?
Blue people.
Okay, so you're the beginning starting population. It is the blank effect.
Oh, founders.
Founder. And then the other one, someone already said it, the catastrophe, the bottleneck,
No neck?
bottleneck,
What?
bottleneck.
What is it?
I thought someone said bottleneck.
I'm confused. What do these mean?
I'll talk about it. Okay, so pinky, genetic drift, meaning small populations, that's your smallest finger. Okay? Small populations are most affected by genetic drift. So the 2 subcategories, the founder effect. So if you're a small population that leaves the main large group and you happen to have unique alleles and you start your own colony, could you have a large population with weird traits that's not statistically normal?
Yeah.
The blue people of Kentucky.
The deer.
Okay, the albino, the albino deer that were boxed in that military depot. The island in the Pacific where a ton of people are colorblind. Or South Africa where a ton of Caucasian people from Britain, who left Britain to colonize South Africa, have Huntington's disease. It's a very rare disease, but it's more common. That's a founder. Got it? The next one is a bottleneck. The key with a bottleneck, there is some kind of catastrophe or disaster. And that disaster wipes out key alleles. So think of a bottle, okay? Okay, and in this bottle, you have green beads.
Beans?
Beads.
Some green beans.
How does that sound like beans?
I heard
Like green beans in a
You heard
bottle.
beans? I usually stick beans. Alright, so you take that bottle and you shake it out. That's the disaster, and all of the reds are gone. All you have left are these green beads and blue beads. And think of those as alleles. That's what a bottleneck is. So cheetahs are 1% different from each other. It's like they're all brothers and sisters. And whenever they breed, it's basically inbreeding. There's so little variation. That's because of a genetic bottleneck that affected the cheetahs. You get it? Okay. So that's Pinky. All right, now I've got ring finger.
Non-random mating.
Non-random mating. Okay? Non-random mating. Okay? So, think of birds. Do the females just go mate? Are they promiscuous? No, they choose who they want to be with based on color, or dancing, singing, or whatever. Okay? And like we said in class, we all have things we like. Do you like to go to dinner and a movie? Do you want to go bowling? Do you want to go throw darts? That's a weird one.
Go to the bar.
Yes. Yes. Good
Okay,
blackout.
so that's non-random mating. Now, I'm not flipping you off, but what is it?
Mutation.
Mutations. Okay. So middle finger mutations. Mutations cause change. That's enough said on that one. If I take my index finger and move it like this, what's this one?
Gene flow.
Gene flow. Okay, gene flow meaning migration, right? If animals are immigrating in, that's going to mix the genes. If animals are immigrating out, that's going to take away genes. So flowing of genes. So think of our country. Are we a pure race of...
No.
No, we are a melting pot country of a bunch of different cultures all together. That's what makes our country great. Okay?
So that one's migration.
That's migration. That's gene flow. Mutations are just mutations. Yeah, there's not really anything. And then thumbs up for
Natural selection.
natural selection. Okay? So, these are the 5 factors for Hardy-Weinberg. If the population is in equilibrium, that means none of these are happening. If none of these are happening, then the population is not changing. You get it? If you're in equilibrium, these aren't happening, it's a non-evolving population. But if at least one of these are happening, then it is evolving. You get it? And anyhow, aren't these always happening? Yeah, okay. So there's your 5 things, okay? Once I get through 23, it'll go a lot faster, so. All right, now you ready to do some Hardy-Weinberg math?
Gosh,
Okay. Can I clear it?
No. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's say we've got 250 white cats. Okay, we have a population of 1,000 total. Okay, I'm just gonna have you do everything from one problem, and then we'll knock it all at once. And the question is, calculate allelic frequency and calculate genotypic.
What's the other type of cat?
Huh? What?
What's the other type of cat?
It's just total.
White cats, the rest are black. I don't know. I'm just making something up. Don't make it complicated. Don't throw me off it. All right.
Me?
Yeah, you're gonna throw me off the game. All right. So I'm gonna give you the equations, you don't have to memorize it. I'll write them on the board, but there's two equations. What is the equation for allelic? P plus Q equals 1. If you have to solve for
P
allelic,
squared, 2PQ.
the other one is P squared plus 2PQ plus Q squared equals 1. Hey, it's test time, guess who's absent?
Pink grenade.
Yeah, we have an Abe's test too coming up.
Oh my gosh.
Classic Christian. What would be terrible is if he doesn't come back and has to take it after break.
Oh. Probably would have done. It'll be like, oh, I have more time to study. And I'll forget.
Who's gonna do schoolwork over break? Oh, yeah. That's
Well, I don't
terrible.
wanna cruise.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do allelic first. Alright, so we know, the one thing that I didn't tell you here is maybe what Elle was alluding at. What is the deal with white that you definitely need to know that I forgot to tell you? Yeah, because I didn't, it could be dominant, right? So we're gonna say white is recessive. Okay, and we'll say 750 are black and that's dominant. Okay, there's the rest of the story. Okay, now, what is the trick always, always, always to solving these?
You already know that the white is,
You always do
double
the recessive first.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna solve for allelic first, and you don't start with dominant, you always start with recessive. Okay? So like in this problem, what if I said that? And I gave you just 750 black cats.
Can't do it.
Couldn't you figure out the recessive population? It's 250, right? It doesn't really matter, but I gave it to you, right? So what are we gonna do with these numbers?
250 is Q.
250 divided by 1,000, right? 250 divided by 1,000 is 0.25. Now, what does that represent? That is Q squared. Okay? It's a percent of a number, it's a genotypic frequency, that's Q squared. Okay? Now, remember, we're solving for allelic. What do I need to do to Q squared? Okay, so 0.25 square root equals 0.5. Okay? Now we have Q. Once you get Q, everything else is super easy. Okay? Because if you know P plus Q equals 1, 1 minus Q equals P, so P also equals 0.5. There is our first answer. You see it?
Yeah.
That's the allelic frequency. Because we were just solving for P and Q. Okay? Alright. Now we need to do genotypic frequency. Alright? So what are we gonna do? Let's set it up. 0.5 squared, right? Plus 2 times 0.5 times 0.5 plus, I wish I wouldn't have used 250, but whatever. 0.5 squared equals 1. Okay? So 0.5, so now let's do the math. 0.5 squared is, okay, and this is 0.5, and this is 0.25. How do we know we did it right? It adds up to 1. So here is the second answer. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you both versions on the test, and then I'm just gonna tell you on your FRQ, one of your FRQs is a Hardy-Weinberg. Okay, you need to know the 5 conditions, and you need to know how to solve allelic and genotypic with J. Show me the math.
Can you just leave our answer like that?
Yeah, that would be perfect. you show me the steps, you got it.
Wait, one of the FRQs is like knowing the 5 things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Okay. You feel good on those? And obviously you can use a calculator and all that. I mean, that's
No, I was asking.
all right. So did you write it down, take a pic or whatever? You got it? All right. Can I clear it? All right, now we can cruise here. 'Cause that takes the longest. Okay, so if you solve for Hardy-Weinberg and the frequencies change generation after generation, what's the population doing? It's evolving. That's microevolution. Gene frequencies changing. Okay? Over generations, one generation to the next. Okay. Selection. This is easy. Alright, so we got this one. That one. Okay. I use 3 colors intentionally. Alright? Focus on the red one.
Let me draw that.
Focus on the red one. What kind of selection would that be?
Oh, it's like it's called like a
Stabilizing.
Stabilizing, because it's, so a good example, the birth weight of human babies. They're all pretty close to the same. Women aren't giving birth to 15-pound babies.
That would be terrible.
Once in a while, but most of the time it's within a range, because it's stabilizing. Okay? Disruptive is which one, purple or blue?
Purple.
Disruptive is purple. Okay? Disruptive, it can also be called diversifying. It favors 2 extremes. It favors a large extreme and a small extreme with nothing really in the middle. Okay? Sometimes bird beaks, they say. There's large beaks and small beaks, but no average beaks. Okay? And then directional is the blue one. So if I'm going this way, okay, giraffe necks. What did direction? Long necks, exactly. Okay, what if it sways in the future and this blue line goes to the left with giraffe necks? Then we're gonna have little short guys. Right?
So cute.
Well, they won't be that short. Their legs are long too.
They are.
They just have a stubby neck.
So, okay, those are your 3 types. Got it? So of course, try to put yourself, think of questions a teacher would ask. I would give you a scenario, and if the choices would be what type of selection is that scenario describing. Okay? So you can't really prepare yourself for the scenario, but if you understand these things, you should be able to nail it. Okay? Okay. Sexual selection, that's selection. Birds, good example. Is that a good one? Yeah? Birds?
Yeah.
Yeah, birds.
Choosing who they want to make with.
Yeah. Dancing, singing,
Peacocks.
all that stuff. Peacocks,
Yeah.
robins, whatever. Okay, that's sexual selection. Okay? Sexual dimorphism. There's a male and female version. So in the notes, I think I had a male duck, really pretty, female duck, yeah, kind of drab, right? Beetles. The male beetles had these big pinchers for fighting other males. What do the females have? Nothing. They're smaller, they don't fight, that's the dimorphism. Is there a dimorphism in human gender?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part, males are more muscular. Males have a deeper voice. Females have a higher voice. That's the dimorphism. Get it? Okay. Diploidy maintains, all right, so having 2 alleles is good, isn't it? You're diploid, doesn't it
You're
protect
protected.
you? Right, that's what I mean here, and that actually goes into heterozygous advantage, okay?
Wait, what?
Now, what do you want me to write?
So, let me get to the story. So in Africa, there's sickle cell anemia, and there is cystic fibrosis, not cystic fibrosis, malaria, okay? So, if you have this, you have SS. No. SC, I'm trying to go too fast. Sickle cell, you're gonna die. If you have this, you're gonna die of malaria. Okay? But if you have this, you have a heterozygote advantage because you're a carrier for sickle cell, so you have some sickle cells which makes you resistant to malaria. So that gives you an advantage, a heterozygote advantage. So in Central Africa, there is a very large population of carriers. So are we ever gonna eliminate sickle cell in Africa?
No.
No, because of that.
So what are we gonna have to know for that?
Just understand what heterozygote advantage is.
And then
Okay.
so basically a big population.
Yeah, you're resistant if you're the heterozygote.
So the diploidy goes with heterozygous.
Yeah, those go together.
What's diploidy?
Diploidy is just having 2 alleles for every trait. So having that other allele protects you. Remember, males, we have a disadvantage on our sex chromosomes. Okay, moving on. All right. Hey, we're not doing this one. So yeah.
What one?
We're not doing 25. Remember?
Oh yeah.
All right, biological species concept. So, the key is when 2 organisms reproduce, they make what kind of offspring? Fertile, right? So what's the problem with being a mule? Are you a true species?
No.
Because you're infertile. So I guess as a human male who can't have babies, is he not?
He's not a real
He's not a
man.
real man.
He's a mule.
That's weird. He's a mule. Yeah. Okay. Prezygotic and postzygotic. All right. So on these problems, again, put yourself in the teacher's. Think how I would think. I'm going to give you scenarios, and you have to choose what the prezygotic or postzygotic mechanism is, and you also have to choose whether it's allopatric or sympatric. Okay? So prezygotic, before a zygote can ever be made, right? So geographic is pretty easy, right? Yeah, I'll get to these in a second. So geographic, you're isolated by a mountain range, a massive river or something like that. That's a prezygote. You're never going to get together ever. Habitat is where you live. If you live in the savannah and something kind of like you lives in the rainforest, are you ever going to meet up? No. So that's a prezygotic mechanism. What does temporal mean? Time. When does she go into heat? They can live in the same area, but if she goes in heat in the fall and this other type of, I don't know, skunk goes in heat in the spring, then they're never gonna wanna mate, that kind of thing. Okay? That's temporal. Okay? Behavioral goes with sexual selection. Okay? So give me a behavioral example. Dancing. Good enough. Fighting. Singing. Okay? So if you don't have the same behavior, you're never going to meet up and reproduce. Okay? Mechanical.
Structure of the part.
Structure of your reproductive parts. Remember dragonfly penises? There you go. That's enough said, right? Mechanically, they don't fit. The corkscrew penis. Okay, that's mechanical, and then the last one is gametic. So chemically, like Lego pieces, the sperm won't fuse with the egg.
So it's like chemical.
Chemically, the receptors on the sperm don't fuse with the receptors on the egg. That's what gametic.
Chemically resistant.
Yes. Okay. So, sympatric. Sim means the same.
Same.
Allo means other. Okay, so all of these are sim except for this one. All of these happen in the same environment together. They don't have to be isolated. The only one that's allo is geographic, because aren't they separated other homelands? That's where other comes in. Okay? Got it? That's easy, right? Geographic's the only allopatrical. All of the other ones are sin. Good? All right. Post-zygotic, if you make the zygote, what's the problem? All right, so reduced hybrid fertility is the mule. You are infertile. Okay? Reduced hybrid inviability, either if you survive, you're weak. And do you compete well? No. If you survive. You know, if you even are created, basically. Okay? Hybrid breakdown is the hybrid plants die, they break down. Okay? That's the difference between the three. So if I give you a scenario about an infertile animal, which one would it be?
Fertility.
Hybrid fertility. If I give you an example of this salamander that gets out competed by all the other males.
Viability.
Okay. All right. Which one's the fast? Punctuated
Punctuated.
is rapid bursts. Gradualism is slow and steady evolution. Okay. Gradual is Darwin. Punctuated is more modern stuff. Okay. All right. So we're not doing 25. So skip 25, and then we just have this one. Okay. All right. So. That's a cladogram, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the things that go here?
The
traits.
traits.
So in this case, it uses characteristics. Characteristics. These are the characteristics. What goes at the end here?
The later. What species came late?
Yeah, the animals, right? So it's whatever. I'm just making stuff up. Cat, lizard, whatever. Okay. What's the most advanced
Where?
thing? The thing on the right, the cat. What's the most primitive, basic thing? Whatever.
The one on the end.
Yeah, I mean, I could say an eel or something. Yeah. Something basic.
Wait, so the thing on the right is
The most basic, the oldest thing. So, okay, so that's a cladogram. And then what if I give you something like that, a multiple choice question,
Yeah.
and I have different animals, like I actually named them, but I'm not gonna write them because it'll take me too long, okay? And I said, what two organisms based on the chart are most closely related? 4 and 5. Because the size of their brackets, right? They're shorter. Shorter means more recent, and they're closer together, okay? Here's another variation. Name an organism name the two organisms that are most distantly related. 5 and 1, okay? Now I want to add another one. What organism would be the outgroup?
6.
Why?
Because it's
It's
not
not connected
connected.
to anything. This would be, I don't know, a platypus, something really odd, you know, just whatever. Okay? That's what I mean by that. So you're gonna have some problems like that. They're pretty easy, just don't misinterpret them. Okay? So I could have it set up like this. I could have it set up like this. Just whatever. Okay? Homology is just like homologous. They have a common ancestor. Okay? Morphology is the shape. Okay? Do snakes and lizards have similar morphological features?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That's morphology. Do humans and chickens have similar morphological features?
Yes.
I can't think of anything.
What?
Okay?
Our feet.
Okay. feet.
Eyeball.
Yeah.
But our feet are even not like.
Wow.
Legs,
They have hair.
eyes.
Yeah, but look at all the other things.
Some people have.
But we're a banana.
Some people have beaks?
Yeah.
How's that?
Like Taylor faces.
All right, Linnaeus. All right, this is don't miss this question. This is super easy.
Uh-oh.
It's like, what is the correct order?
Now I'm gonna.
Kingdom.
Kingdom, phylum,
Phylum,
class,
class,
order,
order, species,
order, family,
genus,
group, species,
species.
genus, species.
Okay.
Kids playing
Cards
cards
on
on
freeway gets
freeways
smashed.
get
Sure, if you remember it that way, I learned King Philip came over for good sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
Are you gonna ask us which order it is?
Yeah.
King
literally.
Philip came over
Yeah, don't miss
for
that.
All I know
good
is kingdom, phylum, class.
sucking.
Kingdom Five
No,
Thousand.
no.
It's just like every good boy does
Just
fine.
paying her to
All
just
cows
get
eat
shot.
grass. Face.
Wait,
I don't know why I remember that. But I remember.
okay. Well, I've got one.
Examples of different kingdoms. All right, so we've got fungi,
What's her face? Scorpion.
plants,
Mrs. Allison?
okay, animal,
Wait, what?
The eukaryote.
protist. I'm just giving you all the kingdoms.
Shut up.
Oh,
These are the eukaryotic kingdoms.
do we need to know those? Yes.
Okay, and then the other two is bacteria and archaea bacteria. These are the two
It wasn't that bad.
prokaryotic kingdoms. That's all. It's like one question, if that. So,
Wait.
okay.
Okay, fungi, plant, and
So 41 questions on this test. Not that long. Archaea. Yeah. I'll let you guess your score.
Is there any Hardy Weinberg on the multiple choice?
Yes.
There is.
I think there's 4. All right.
We should do